All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Let Me Talk to My Customer. I'm your host, Chad Counts, with my co-host, Richard Tyler. Rich, how are we doing today, sir?
Wonderful. How are you, Chad?
I'm doing great. I am neither in need of gas nor any of the other product shortages that we need. I don't need a semiconductor chip right now.
But we know lots of people who want them.
Yeah, I mean, Elon Musk's dream of us having fully integrated beings, and hey, we can't even get them for cars. How am I supposed to drive this brain long term when we can't even get our new cars on the road? Anyways, I guess we don't have Lord Bezos to thank anymore. Lord Gates has also been taken down recently here. It's been a tough time for billionaires, as much as that could be said. So thankful that we are here, captains of our own ship here, and just taking care of each other and enjoying that. So, man, wild times these days. Lots of silliness, lots of opportunity, and anyways, we're happy to be with you guys. So it continues to be the age of the recycler, the age of used parts, the value of having inventory and the value of having products is not looking like that's going to be stopped anytime soon. So that's going to be our topic for today. We're going to talk about supply shortages. We're going to talk about the effects of that, both from a sales perspective, manager, owner perspective. We're about 14 months from when this whole thing kicked off. But May was kind of when the light switch came back on. And I think we're at a little bit of a different inflection point this year in May, which will be interesting to see. So before we launch off into that topic, into those points, we will be actually, by the time we post this, we will have launched our salesperson's closing series this week. So unfortunately, if you haven't reached out to us before Thursday, you will have missed out on that. If you have any future interest in being a part of that, we can put together a mailing list or let Rich or I know. We're going to be continuing to have future series. And we'd really like to start a Spanish series for Spanish-speaking salespeople. If we can get a large enough base to get that started, I think that would be really nice to have an online series of sales training available there as well. So we plan to have those at least once every 2 months going forward throughout this year and next year. Just make that a regular thing for new salesperson's training, whether it be added value of warranty, brokering, etc., or closing sales. Those are going to be our bread and butter, so we're going to focus on work on. Aside from that, we have a few openings for sales management services. We have some openings for one-on-one sales training services. So whether you've hired a new person, whether you have somebody who is kind of plateauing and feeling stuck, or you have an elite level person that you want to see them take to the next level, but they feel full, they're not sure where they can go. There are different use cases for each of the trainings in those series. The elite salesperson is probably going to be more of a short-term training, solution-focused training, whereas your mid-tier to beginner, those are going to be more long-term training series that we have available to them. And we offer that in a variety of options, whether that's weekly, bi-weekly, however you'd like that person to be trained. We're happy to provide that training remotely to you. And then, of course, our podcast, which we're doing right now, if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us, add us on your Spotify feed, anywhere you're finding our podcasts, please click that button so you're getting a reminder and able to keep up to date on all our latest trainings, offerings, and content. So, all right. So thanks for being with us. We're happy to have you.
For those, a lot of things that have been happening in the automotive industry that you're going to update us about. So tell us what's been going on.
Yeah, so over the last month, there's been a lot of changes and a lot of happenings. There's a pretty pronounced semiconductor chip shortfall, which is leaving automakers right now scrambling to be able to finish off vehicles that are already produced. We've seen this on F-150s and I'm sure a number of other vehicles where the automakers are having to stock finished vehicles that are just awaiting their chips to be able to be programmed and sent off to the dealer, which is now leading dealerships to have some very scant, thin lots, not a lot of inventory there. And we're seeing this elsewhere as well. Obviously, the gas pipeline is kind of a different matter with some hacking and some other things going on. But there are some supply chain bubbles that are starting to pop up. And I think we're only getting towards the tip of the iceberg on those, from chlorine to ammo to plastic for pipettes and petri dishes that for science labs.
You mentioned lumber, we've talked about on other occasions.
Yeah, lumber, you guys already are well aware of the precious metal prices and where those are headed as well. And I wouldn't be surprised to see, I think there's even some food shortage and paper product, rubber, chicken, ketchup. I mean, it's really running the gamut. So to back up a little bit, at least our read on it that we're seeing is, this goes back all the way to last May. When we had the shortfall, people were either laying off or stopping work, stopping production. That initial wave of demand for product didn't erode, didn't go away. And so when we came back in May and June, record numbers, we saw it in our industry, and other industries are seeing that as well. And while that was good, all of us, for anybody who is inventory heavy or supply or goods heavy, that was fine. But we've been selling at, and Rich and I have been talking about this off and on for a year, we've been selling at 110, 120% capacity in terms of what we've been buying in a lot of months, right? We weren't replacing our projected revenue. And I'm sure if that was the case in our industry, where we still had inventory there, in inventory that just needed to be processed, right? It didn't need to be produced, it was there. That these industries that were seeing things that needed to be built from scratch, we're going to have even a harder time. There was a longer ramp up time. There's a longer range to hire people and get product reproduced. So I think we're going to continue to see this ongoing, and this may last longer than that initial panic that we had, that 6 weeks, 2 months of panic at the beginning of this pandemic. I think the supply chain side of things could take years to unwind fully, especially on the semiconductor front. I mean, that's a really concerning aspect that we'll see what they do there. All that being said, I'm not trying to be sky is falling alarmist.
No, but yeah, what does that mean for our industry, and what does that mean for salespeople in this industry?
It means overall, I think for quality of life for all of us, that's a little bit concerning. On our industry, our sector, recessions have always been great for us. Economic downturns have always been great for us. And that will, of course, be the case again this time. And the reason being for that is our product is already in its final state. We already have it. Anything that we can get our hands on, we can process it, deliver it in a more timely, better fashion than it can be produced with a broken or struggling supply chain right now. In that, whatever pockets pop up. I mean, if it's semiconductor chips right now, those are obviously super complex. But if plastics are becoming an issue or rubber's becoming an issue, obviously there's potential for other things to come up in our parts sector as well. So for us, we need to bear in mind, we are going to be back, in my opinion, to demand cycles like May and June, and not too long, where we are largely going to be the only game in town. If you are the automakers, where is your focus going to go? It's obviously going to have to put a lot more emphasis, energy, and money towards finishing off new product, because that's the basis of their business. In order to keep their stock prices going, their revenues hitting their numbers, they can't do that if they're not selling new vehicles. So if anything's going to get left behind, I think it's going to be the parts side of things, or they're going to be not as many used vehicles available or things like that. So from a purchasing standpoint, from a business standpoint, one of the biggest things is be prepared as buyers. You might have another wave of sticker shock here. I would not be surprised if prices of the auction go up again, especially on late model, right? This is going to be increased competition. Because potentially, if you're the dealers, you're going to be looking at maybe buying vehicles and repairing them and selling them as used that you otherwise wouldn't. So I think there's going to be a lot of downward pressure on the auctions in terms of more competition for anything that's rebuildable, repairable for those used cars. I think dealers are not going to be letting any sort of trade-ins or anything like that go through their fingers. They're going to be hoarding whatever they can resell on the lot. So I think you're going to see used car dealers hit in this too. I think you're going to be seeing our repairable business getting more competitive to land that inventory as well. So whenever that happens, the upper range of what we're buying is going to be highly, highly competitive. On the flip side, we can look at the price side. What is it going to cost us? And just like our customers always say, how much is it going to cost? What's it going to cost us? We can look at costs or we can look at value. Obviously, costs are going to go up to acquire parts again or acquire vehicles. That absolutely means we're going to continue to see our parts prices rise. That's going to be selective. We need to be aware of maybe reman, aftermarket, what the alternate supply options are. But man, oh man, are we going to be the only game in town on a lot of these late model late stuff. Seeing everything from $2,500 rear view mirrors. And I mean, just crazy stuff. We're going to be the only game in town. Our prices are going to be like new. I mean, we are going to be the guys when we have the stuff. So be prepared for that. Be aggressive for that. And again, I can't stress this enough. I would rather be on the heavy side. If I'm overpaying a little bit, I think we can make that up on the back end on prices. Having the product is going to be such a factor that price, time frame, quality are necessarily going to diminish in terms of priority as compared to availability. When we look across, right, lumber didn't all of a sudden actually it did become more valuable, but it didn't change anything, right? It was the same lumber, but the people who are producing it, we're seeing real life economic lessons come into play here of what that means. So let's be on the front end of that. Let's be aware that the future price of our parts on a lot of these, at least things that have been made in the last 5 years, anywhere where the GM would have, or the automaker would have still been producing these parts. I mean, that's where the gold is. That's where the money's going to be. That's where all the pressure is going to be. And so if we have that product, we're going to be in good shape.
Right. Okay. Now, to bring this to a point for salespeople to be aware of what this means, in their day-to-day kind of sales process, you would say what? I mean, obviously, let me say, just in the same way that you were relating to owners and buyers, salespeople, if you can get your hand on the part, like if you can broker it, if you've got it there, if you see that it's out there and you have availability to it right there, that's what matters, obviously. Yeah. Is there anything? Well,
I don't want to gloss over that. That's absolutely right. As a salesperson right now, if you are in the habit of mentioning, oh, it's going to take a few days, or I got to order, get rid of any of that. None of that is helpful right now. That is not the priority, how long it takes or buying it from somebody else. Who cares?
Yeah.
You have the product. I have it. I can get it for you. I have one available. That's it. And even price point, warranty, all those sort of things, price point and warranty are not going to be as relevant. You're going to be able to ask for more. You're going to be able to go over screen on occasions. You got to be able to read that. In the same way with owners, you can wait till some of this data comes in. You can wait till some of the prices rise, but at that point, you're going to be behind the game, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody else is going to have acquired that, and they're going to learn those lessons. Fortune's going to favor the bold and the informed right now, and you salespeople are vital to that. We will know what's happening in our sector as well as we can. We talk a lot about prospecting for new customers. As a salesperson right now, this is going back into that phase of pumping existing customers. And what I mean by that is your existing customers are going to be part of the tip of the spear and letting you know where the supply chain shortages are hitting them. Where are they struggling to get parts that otherwise they would have? What parts are they hearing are going on backlog? What adjustments are because it's not all going up. We're hearing, Nissan's becoming more aggressive on their pricing as well on the reman. So maybe you're hearing, oh, so-and-so is undercutting and they're price matching. So there's areas where it's getting more competitive and there isn't that margin. All of that information, any of that information you can get from your customers is helpful, but don't let it stop with you. Those are things that are helpful for the rest of your staff, your other salespeople. Those are helpful for your buyer, especially your owner. Pass that information up the chain and be talking to each other. Say, hey, they are 5 days out. They can't get anything new right now. They can't get anything from China. They can't get any after. Whatever the case may be, I want to stay well informed of the situation on the ground. Okay. So the conversations we used to maybe have about price or quality or time frame, I want to see salespeople start turning that to, hey, what are you guys hearing?
Yeah.
How many vehicles do you have on the lot? What's supply been like for you guys? Where have you been able to get your parts? Okay. Have you been having issues getting parts from anywhere? Okay, great. I want my good customers keeping me well informed because that gives us potentially a leg up. If we have a leg up at the auction, if we have a leg up in pricing, that flows downhill to me as a salesperson, right? Then I have better product, I have more product, it's priced better. I'm hitting my sales numbers easier because our price is going up. All of that is helpful. And that's what we've seen. Companies throughout this 14 months, feels like 2 years. But throughout this period that have responsive, dynamic leadership as well as employees.
Yeah.
Don't sit there and think, oh, it's not my job to talk about price. Oh, it's not my job to figure out supply. I mean, your job may not be here, and I'm not trying to scare anybody, but times are tough. There are going to be yards that go out of business. There's going to be repair shops that go out of business. This supply chain isn't going to be amazing for everybody, right? I want to be on the front end of this. I want my company to be on the front end of this. And salespeople play a great role in that. You're not necessarily the eyes, you're the ears of the company, right? You're the voice of the company. You having that trust, you knowing what's happening with your customers, your relationships matter more now in situations like this than they ever have before. So bear that in mind, have conversations. Most people want to talk about this. Rich and I were easily talking for 30 minutes about this before we jumped on to record. Everyone's going to have thoughts. Everyone's going to be seeing aspects of this. I think people are going to be happy to divulge information. Be alert, be aware of that. Whether you're taking notes or you're just firing off a quick email internally, however you want to keep track of that as a company, I think there's going to be information that's going to be highly informative and very helpful for what we're doing. Okay. So it's a little bit different. I don't know that we're going to be in that window where our phones are ringing off the hook quite yet. I think we're going to have a little bit of a lull here, maybe this month, while things are kind of kicking around. But when we get a call and they're asking for a part, Rich has seen this a lot right now. Hey, do you want me to go ahead and get this started for you? If there's ever a time where there's no time if we have access to a part, I want to push this person to make a decision. Either somebody else could have it. We could reprice this up 10% tomorrow. We could reprice this up 5% tomorrow. Our prices are changing all the time. So it is in our interest as salespeople, if we want to keep happy customers, if we want to be able to deliver on what we're promising, to push them forward more than what we've used to in the past of why don't we go ahead and get this started? You never know what's going to happen. I can make sure it's on the truck. We start the order. You'll have it by X date. If they express any time frame on there and say, hey, you want to hit that time frame, there is no time to waste. We need to get this order started. Okay. And that's just to leave room for if we go out there and check it, part's no good, that gives us enough room to bring in alternatives. Because that's where the supply chain's at. If there is one hiccup, like with the gas line right now, I mean, it doesn't take much in the supply chain ripple to cause problems. And so I think our customers are more aware of that right now. I think we're more aware of that right now. Pushing our customers forward to make decisions earlier will benefit them with the increased flexibility and options that they have available to them. Okay. Any thoughts on your end? What is anything I missed on that? Rich?
No, I think you hit where it's important for our salespeople to be attentive, and I definitely think top tier salespeople need to be having that conversation with their wholesale customers. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What problems are you encountering for them to be more aware of that?
Yeah. Oh, I did think of one more. So one of the main differences right now, and one of the reasons why I think we could see stuff go even crazier in the next few months is when this stuff started, we were all off the road way less. I mean, maybe
right. Now everybody's
rural.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe in some rural communities, things were a little less. No one's pent up right now. We all want to be out. We all are tired of lockdowns and that sort of stuff. I don't think there's going to be any shortage of repairs needed right now. If anything, that's going to keep going.
Yeah.
And this will be the first time where we're having that same level or elevated vehicles on the road with potentially choke supply again. Right. So be on the front foot, be inventory heavy. This is not a time to watch your hold lot dwindle. I think this is a great time to make investment in inventory. I am less concerned with my percentage cost of goods right now than I am of the overall gross profit that I'm buying and generating. I want to be buying future sales, period. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think in a lot of ways, we're in a position where we can start naming our price. So that's different than really we've ever had before. We're going to see the pressure not on the price side as much like we've traditionally seen. We are going to continue to see it build, in my opinion, on the inventory side. So be aware of that, be aggressive on that, be very forward. And again, we hope this is helpful for you guys. Those are our thoughts. Maybe you see something differently. Maybe you have a different read on the situation. You're hearing different things. Hey, leave a comment, leave a question, anything like that to let us know what you're thinking, where you guys are at with it. So otherwise, keep your ears posted for when we have future trainings coming up. You missed out on this one. It's going to be a great set of series, the closing series. We're very excited to get that going this Thursday. But otherwise, wish you guys well. Stock up.